I'll just follow along.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
You stay in. We'll drop the recruits. Panda, please drop out of the sudden.
Oh, alright.
Armor?
Yeah, Spark's an armor member, so we'll get him in even though he's a recruit as well. And then Super Thrive, you could jump on when you get in. Thanks for hopping out there. Alright, so to start off here, guys, we'll just start by a few basic things about the tank. We'll go with the Prowler. It's the same for all the tanks except for the Vanguard, which doesn't really matter. But basically, the Prowler, anything that strikes the front of the tank, it only does 90% of the damage. So if you normally shoot for 100, it's only going to do 90. If you shoot it from the side, it does normal damage 100%, the same thing from the top. The top takes 100% as well. If you shoot a tank in the back, it takes normal damage 100 plus 240%. So when you're driving armor, you really need to keep your ass away from the enemy or it will get you killed. The common upgrades for armor are the front armor, side armor, and top armor. Top armor is 10%, side armor is 10%, front armor is 5%. So it'll be actually 85% reduction in front as opposed to 90 on top or side.
So they are
Shadowpula connected.
Yes, they are.
Alright, cool.
Personally, I prefer the side armor because there's more to the sides and that's how you pop in and out of cover. But it's all up to you. And so that's just the basics of the tank. So it's something you really want to work on when you're firing is knowing how much damage you take. For lightnings, for instance, they mainly focus on top armor, and then you put yourself on a hill, like this one right here, and then the top of your armor will be exposed, so you're taking the least amount of damage while you could still maintain like line of sight with the gun coming up. I don't have a lightning here to show you, but that's pretty much how it works.
Yeah.
So for armor pulls, the squad right here, we got the 12-man squad. Yeah, just like that. So all the strikes comes to the top of the armor when they're getting shot at from like an enemy over by the warp gate. They'll all be hitting the top. So you're putting your top armor, your strongest armor, towards the enemy. Of course, he does have his ass towards them, but looks like he's spinning. Aside from that, for organization for the armor squad, I see we already have a tank here.
Sacred Dragon connected.
Ringburger pulled one. So the way the armor squad works is we're going to break it down into teams. So Zib and Udic, they're going to be one team. 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and 8, just all the way down the line. You guys can see it straight through. So
Alright, cool.
Group up with whoever's going to be your guy.
Daco?
It's going to be Udic, so whoever's in Udic's gun, get out.
Oh, please.
Yeah,
We're gonna make a great Cal Carmax.
So how we're going to do it is we're going to team it up. Everyone find their groups. And then the basic way it's going to work with 2-man teams, it's going to be 6 teams. With the 6 teams, we're going to pull our vehicles. So we're going to do 5 prowlers. So me and Udic have one. Let me get Sparks,
Shadowpula left.
Anonymous, and Slayer to pull a prowler. And Super Thrive, I want you to get it. Do you have an ammo, Sunday?
Yes.
Can you get your ammo, Steve? And for Cass, you're going to take Ring Rager's Lightning. Since he already pulled it.
No. Shut up, Parker.
Oh, you got to unlock him. You page down, you do it quad and platoon only.
Any particular weapons you want on these?
Nope. The weapons are going to be situational, and it's going to change too often to make a difference. Primarily heat. As long as we have at least 3 of the 5, it's heat. I don't care.
Yeah, everything seems situational. Like, every time I pull AP rounds, I find a bunch of heavy shooting at me. And every time I pull heat rounds, I just never have that problem, so...
So the way this works is the teams are going to be able to be tasked. Each little team, or crew, as it were, is going to be able to task for multiple things. Like right now, we have a prowler each and a gunner. The reason we're rolling a gunner instead of rolling 12 prowlers is because 1, it's a little bit more combat effective, but 2, it's going to maintain better uptime when we're doing operations. If we roll out and like DVS rolls in with 50,000 liberators and destroys our armor, then we're out of armor for the night. We have, or at least for like the next few minutes, you know? So this way, if we die, whoever's driving the tank now, their gunner pulls the tank, and then you guys roll again. So we'll stay up a little bit more and try and keep armor as effective as normal. And then when we have the ammo sunder and the other guy, the other person from the ammo sunder crew is going to be the lightning. The lightning is going to be the scout, and if we have to do any maneuvers, he's also going to be the one sticking near the Sunday, because they're the crew.
I like it.
The way it works is
Let me just
Go
make
ahead,
sure I
Adam.
got this. 11 and 12 are lightning slash aren't ammo, and
Supports.
everybody else is in the Prowler team.
You could do any one of the little crews, I guess, but I just use the bottom ones because it's the way I did it for organizational. But it's in either two crew, you know. If we lose a prowler quick and then that comes out and hits a mine, we could switch these two guys where they could pass out their vehicles and they could pull their prowlers. It's all versatile. It's all able to be switched up. And then there's always going to be more situations. Like right now, this is our general, easy to control, fits anywhere armor squad, and it's maintainable during operations. If we get into a situation like the other night where we had to fight that big DVS or
All
losing
vanguards.
armor, we could always say, hey, everybody pull a prowler, you know? You could drop your gunners off and pull 12 prowlers. It's situational. It's always going to change. The way the game flows, there's always shit that's going to be like, hurry up and do this quick because we got to counter something else, you know? So it's all situational, but this is the general loadout we're going to roll with.
As a
Holy
general
man
rule,
prowlers.
Zid run all NGs always.
Yes.
Yep.
Everyone should NG unless for some reason you're riding into Sunday, then it would be either an NG or like a Burst or Max or some shit like that.
Yeah, the
But
last
yeah.
thing you want is to say, hey, can someone patch my tank up?
Yeah,
Well, the
it's
way it
fine.
works,
Yeah, figure maybe.
Yeah, no, and you're bringing the point up, which is good, which is another thing we were going to bring up about that. When you are rolling in the armor, it doesn't matter which you're going to be because you always going to need an engineer. The gunner might need to repair. Sometimes it's the driver that needs to get out and repair if the Vulcan's engaging air or something, you know? So it's situational. Another thing is, why don't you guys come over, Edict, bring it over here. So when you are repairing, the side is the only way to be. You need to be repairing from the side. If you're repairing from the back and you get run over, that's fine. If you're in a spot and you're taking fire and there's an engine behind you, run them over. It's easier to respawn at a Sunday with an engineer than it is to respawn a prowler in the middle of an operation. And usually when prowlers are using cover, which is what we are going to advocate you guys to do, you're going to be popping in and out depending on how many rounds you take. So if you're pulling in and out and you're waiting for some engine to move so you don't get destroyed, you shouldn't be doing that. They should be on the sides. Always go to the sides, guys. And me, sometimes when I do it, I jump on top. So if they move, I won't die either way. I'll just fall off. It's a little more dangerous, whatever. Either way, just be aware that sides are the best place to be for repairing tanks. All right, pretty self-explanatory. All right, next part is when we move. When we move this kind of formation, any lightnings minus the Skyguard, and the lightning that we have right now, if we were pushing into an area where we needed more
Box
anti-air
max
cover,
connected.
it could always be a Skyguard. It could be switched up at need. It doesn't have to be what it is now, like
Box
at least the
max
weapons
joined.
loadout. But when we're pushing out, if it's not a Skyguard, the lightning usually goes first. I'm gonna go ahead and put a waypoint just so we can do a little movement here. So when we move out, we're gonna move out to this waypoint. Not yet though. We're gonna move out lightning, and then 4 of the prowlers, and then the Sunder, and then 1 prowler bringing up the rear. This shouldn't have to be told. Like when we move out, you should just look, see how it looks. You know, jump in. If there's someone in the back, not behind the Sunder, like Atrix just did, just initiative, man. It's the kind of shit that we don't even need as squad leaders to be saying on comms because it's a huge impact on TeamSpeak and cluttering it up. When we move out, I want more than like 20 meters between each tank. If we have to stop and engage and you're close enough behind me that you hit me, then there's something wrong. We need the room to, like, if the guy in front of you does stop to engage, which you really shouldn't, but even if he does have to, you need to have room to maneuver around him. Same thing for ammo Sundays. If you're driving an ammo Sunday and you're applying ammo to people, don't pull up behind them. You can't block tanks in. We need to keep it free, so we need to maneuver, man. We can't take as much damage as most people think. Even with the name tank, they go down pretty damn quick. So we need to be able to use cover and pop in and out. All right, let's go ahead and try moving out here. Go ahead and take out Frickus.
Fricassee.
I think that moving out and staying too close thing is something we got to hit over and over in an outfit.
Yeah,
Because most of
like-
the time when
Yep.
we roll out like a bunch of fucking monkeys, people pushing up against each other. and
Exactly.
racing, and it's
And
fun
another
for
thing
the
is-
2 seconds.
Okay, so like even if we do get into a clogged area and we're going fast and we do get clogged up, if you are touching someone, you need to stop. The guys in front need to
T-O-L-O
move,
join.
and you need to stop everyone from moving. Frickus, you could go ahead and take off, man. You could get out of sight if you have to. Basically, by scout, I want you to go up there and say, oh shit, don't come around the corner, there's a bunch of armor. Side point though, that's for scouting. As for us though, like right now, it's perfect. Like it doesn't gotta be a perfect formation. You don't gotta maintain like this
Reflect
beautiful
connected.
formation and worry about that. I just want there to be enough room that if we do have to engage, we can. And then we're not clumped up enough that any fucking liberator that sees us is just like, oh, hey, look, points galore, you know?
I have a question, Zib,
What's that?
regarding basic movement. So we each have a gunner here. I remember from Atrix's basic training course that when you're sitting in the Sunder, everyone has eyes in a various direction to keep full. Where should the gunners be, like, have their eyes in the optimal situation?
The only way it's going to work, like the way it works with the Sunder, it's a little bit different because you're all going to be in the Sunder. But with armor, like we're doing now, there's no set formation. It's just
Right.
proper spacing. So the gunner on top is the one that's going to have to accommodate because he can see where the driver's looking by the angle of the barrel. So he's just going to have to accommodate, mainly looking up, watching air, and watching the sides and the back because for the driver to do that, he needs to turn his barrel all the way around. The driver could cover like a frontal arc. When you get into close areas and shit, it's always going to get a little bit more dangerous. But for general driving, you just need eyes on every area, and then
Rumble
anything that is
connected.
seen can be communicated, and then you can bring multiple eyes on the target.
Cool, thanks.
Zip, can I make a comment?
Yeah, go ahead.
One of the things that helps me when I'm driving is I press H and it enlarges my mini-map, and I can see the other vehicles close to me.
That does help, and I use it periodically too. The only downside to that is it takes your compass away, so it makes it harder to give directions. But if you're quick at hitting H, it's really useful.
Hey Zib,
Yes,
can I recommend something for the Sunder?
go ahead.
If you've got a full Sunder, so you've got 12 people in it, then just check whatever position you're in and then look that direction based on a clock.
That's infantry training. So we're not going to get into that right now. We'll just save that for Atrix's training on Saturday.
All right.
All right, for now, so coming up, and we're going to attack the tech plant. When we drive up, the squad waypoint that I put down is put down from the map. The little terrain you see here, these little hills, these trees, I can't see. I don't want you guys to drive straight to the point just because it's the point. When you get to the point, I'm usually saying, hey, head to the point and start engaging the towers at the tech plant. For example, if that was the mission. So when you guys get here, you need to look around. Like if you look around here, there's a lot better terrain than a lot of the places we've stopped in. If you don't have cover for at least some of your tank, which a lot of us don't, Edict at least is in between the trees here, but there's good hills here. If you get behind a hill, you cover like 90% of your tank. It makes it harder to hit. People will shoot at you a lot more and then miss a lot, and it helps. So once we get here, like, there's no set formation. I don't want everyone like 50 meters from each other or something.
Dells
But I
connected.
do want everyone in a position that's pretty good. So why doesn't everyone grab a position here? We're firing on the tech plant, for example. We're a little bit out of range, but we're just going to set up position here because I want to check it before you guys all start moving around.
Zib, is it alright if I pull a tank even though I was late?
That's fine.
Yeah, me too.
Why don't you guys get same tank and then come over here? We're on Amrish.
Hey, Carmax, if you want to drive, no, man.
I'm ready here.
It's good.
All
I'm
right.
just mostly listening.
I like the cover. I like Panda and Udict up here on these hills. Using hills for cover
Dells
like
quick.
this is like, it's really common. There's a lot of places where you can get into a good spot like this. Not to mention that if you guys come over here and look at where, hold on, Udict, don't move. If you come look where the orange smoke is for a second. I want to show you guys a good thing about this. It's just little tricks like this that make it a lot more effective in armor. So when you're in armor and you're set up in a position like we're doing right now and we're engaging a base. So right now the biggest thing that would be our threat would be the turrets. I mean, obviously we're out of range to be effective, but the turrets would be the most effective thing. With 5 tanks pounding on them, we destroy those turrets in no time. The next most dangerous thing for us is infantry, because this position provides cover, but it also provides cover for infantry to maneuver. You don't see them until they're getting close. But if you look where he's at, there's like at least a good 20 meters in front of him. So it's like the best place I could think of where anyone that comes up, like if I came up right now, he would just shoot right here and it'd blow me away. So you got to keep all of this in mind when you're setting cover. Also, look at his angle. He's got his front armor to the front towards the enemy, so any hits are either going to be like hitting his front armor or the top armor, depending on where he's getting shot from. So these are all things you need to think about when you're getting into position. Once you're into position like this and you're engaging, if you got a gunner, which most of us will right now, and they're rocking a Vulcan or something that's got crappy range, now would be the time for them to get out and heal, because as you're engaging this, the long range battle, they're pretty much useless. But if they keep you topped off, it makes it harder to kill you, so you maintain the armor up. Once the turrets would be eliminated pretty much on an instance like this, we'd be pushing in with the infantry to attack on the base. But usually it involves, like for armor, we could always push in right away, but most objectives we have to set up outside and pound the base for a little while, eliminate threats before we move in. Otherwise we move in and we get destroyed so quickly.
Hey Zip, how would you ask the Ammo Sunday to perform during this? I mean, if we got a whole line of tanks shell on the base, you know, you want the Ammo Sunday running up along the backside of these things continuing to refill? Do you want the tanks pulling back to the Ammo Sunday?
The way I would do it is, if it's a siege thing, I would have us going back to it. If it's an armor engagement, like if we're engaging armor, the Sunday gets cover and stays where it is, and the tanks come to him. But for a situation like this, I would probably have the Ammo Sunday roll up and down the line every like minute or so, or if someone called it out.
Roger that.
It all depends on the situation, but the only thing about this is when you are driving the Ammo Sunday like that, just don't block people in. If you're resupplying someone that's engaged, you don't need to be behind them. You need to be on the side of them. So that way, if they need to back up real quick because they're getting hit or some shit and they hit you, then you're gonna get them killed, even though you're trying to help. You know, it's just you have to be aware of that, and it's really frustrating to go down because someone's trying to help you.
Yeah.
I have a question, Sid. See, like I run the side armor, and I see the Udic runs the front armor. Should we turn our reinforced side to wherever the battle would be in theory, or do we need to have the front over the hill?
For the side armor, I wouldn't turn it towards it because it's the same thing, but if you maintain the front armor towards it, so like the enemy's in front of you, your left and right flank are both protected. If you turned your side to it, either your left or your right flank would be your rear armor.
It also leaves
So you just gotta be aware of it. It does.
Okay, cool.
I have no armor.
Alright, and then so that's like majority of movements and the micro terrain. The biggest one for me is the micro terrain. I set a lot of waypoints from the map, and I don't want everyone to go boondoggle, gaggle, fuck around the waypoint. The waypoint's like, hey, this is the general area, you know? If you guys aren't standing on it, I'm not going to get mad. If you are like for infantry, ask Atrix. If he puts a waypoint in the middle of a field and you're over there standing behind cover, I don't think he's going to get mad at you for trying to protect yourself.
Correct.
Now, to the armor mission. The mission of armor is basically to provide fire support for infantry in open field engagements, to suppress the bases, and to provide cover for the infantry during movements. So basically, 2 of the 3 things that armor does the most is going to be providing cover for the infantry. And most of the time, it doesn't necessarily mean killing everything so the infantry can move up. A lot of times, infantry can take out targets just as quick as we can. They just can't take 2 or 3 tank rounds in the face and keep doing it. So we are just basically the big show. We come over here, we start shooting, and then everyone starts shooting at us while infantry moves up and does their thing on the side. So a lot of our job is going to be moving in and keeping everyone shooting at us. So the fact that everyone is engineers and that we're using proper cover makes it more likely. The longer we could keep everyone at that base shooting at us, the better likely our chance of the infantry squads moving in is effective. Or if they keep all shooting at us, we might be able to just kill them all if they all come after us, you know? But basically the job is to keep the attention on us and let the infantry do the killing. Or if they're moving into objective and they have armor in the way, we can clear the armor for them. But all of our objectives really, or if we're suppressing a base, the third objective of it, we'd be pounding the turrets and pounding the spawn rooms and keeping the infantry inside. All of these jobs are really suppressing shit so infantry could get along with the job of capping the base. Honestly, all of the tasks in this outfit, except for infantry, revolve around supporting the infantry. So any questions on the mission of armor, or what you'd be doing in armor?
Would AP sniping even be
Lofty
worth
joined.
it?
Yes, AP sniping is amazing, especially if you have the deploy mode. You could deploy it and just snipe armor, and especially if you're running with squad mates who are running HE or heat that can protect you. You'd also be running with a gunner, so it becomes a lot more viable than trying to run it when you're running by yourself solo.
I feel weird to compare this game to Battlefield, but there's a lot of the tactics are similar, and I used to do a lot of tank sniping in Battlefield, like across the map type of thing, and I find it very similar. So I was just wondering if that would actually help or not, because this game's kind of different.
Which is very nice. That's a good segue into the next part. As of right now, and this is subject to change like at whim, the two common strategies we have, the two tactics we use, and actually three, but I guess one is just a hybrid of the two. It's either siege mode, like just firing line, kind of like you have now, but I would rather have this a little bit more spread out. But this is still a really good firing line, especially since we all got good cover. So it would be like a firing line that would provide fire support like this and engage targets from range just using when you look at the different tanks, they all have abilities. The Vanguard has better front armor, so it's better for closing with the with enemies and engaging them because they have a lot of front armor and they can do a lot of damage with single shots. Mag Rider is good for sniping, of course, because everyone knows how the Vanu have no bullet drop, and they hover, so they have no bounce when they're moving, so they can engage while moving pretty steadily. Everyone thinks Prowler has nothing going for it, but the Prowler has two things going for it. One, the Vulcan, and two, the deploy mode.
Vector
If you're
connected.
set up in deploy mode fighting long range, the only thing that could stop you is a Liberator fleet or a Mag Rider fleet. If we're deployed like this and a bunch of Mag Riders came over the hill, I would probably keep one or two of the AP tanks in the back, just shelling them from range, and I would have everyone else charge them. If you charge a Mag Rider, they can't do anything. You guys, so like for instance, if three Mag Riders came up from the east right now, I would send Anonymous and Slayer to attack them, and then Udict and me would keep shooting from where we were. The rest of you guys could keep shooting the base. So if they went to engage them, all they have to do during an engagement like that is when you're engaging with two tanks and you're engaging another tank, one tank just pushes straight at them. Keep your front armor or side armor straight at them. This is the hardest part, is keeping aware of where your ass is. So you got to do a lot of pivoting in place. You go straight at the Mag Rider. The Mag Rider, to shoot you, once you're on side with it, it has to turn to face you. They can't turn their turret. So if you drive past it and around it, he's going to either have to let you get a shot in his ass or turn around so your teammate can get a shot in his ass. Not to mention that when you close with a tank and open up with the Vulcan, I don't know how many people of you have tried that, but it eats fucking armor alive from that range. So if you sit here and a bunch of Mag Riders come and you try and snipe it out with them, you're going to lose. If you close with them, you could easily destroy them. If it was Vanguards, on the other hand, I would say go ahead and go to deploy mode and start shelling the fuck out of them from range, because they're not as easy to close with like that, because they have turrets as well. So we really have to adapt our tactics, and you guys got to be aware of the strengths and weaknesses of the tanks that you're going to be facing. Any
Yeah.
questions about enemy tanks?
Just a comment regarding the Mag Riders. They scared the hell out of me when I first started playing TR, but after Zib said, no, get up on their ass and kill them, like, yeah, that's absolutely the best thing they can do, because a Mag Rider could be sitting over at a Mikala tech plant and hitting us, but as soon as you get up close to them, they don't know what to do, which kind of also goes along with the personality of the Vanu.
They usually freak out.
Yeah. Like, I can...
Yeah, and most of them try and boost away, because
Yeah.
they get that little turbo boost, and if you time it right, you could hit them 2 shots in the ass, and it'll destroy them if you're using heat, if they have any bit of damage.
What about
Also-
circling?
I'm sorry, what's that?
If you've ever played World of Tanks and you circle a tank to hit it in the ass, does that even work on the Mag Rider?
Yes, it does. It doesn't if you do it solo, because he will just turn to face you and he can pivot in place. But if you're rolling with Armor Squad and you're going to get... Another thing about Armor Squad is we thought about using like separate channels and individual team communication, but the overhead and the coordination required is just going to be insanely difficult. So what we decided to do is we're going to use the 2-man buddy system, like it is right now with your crews, but we're also going to expand that to tank maneuvers. So for instance, if that tech plant was NC and like 5 Vanguards rode over the hill right here and they started engaging us, or 5 Mag Riders, and we wanted to close with them, once we drove over this hill and we started driving, tactical control is out the window, man. Like, I can't control all of that. I'll be gunning or driving a tank, and it pretty much comes down to the fact that if you're in a tank and there's someone in front of you, so like right now, hold up, Slayer. So like if Slayer drove over the hill right now, like pretty much it's up to Anonymous or Udic to say, I'm behind you, Slayer, and start driving with him. It's up to the person behind to call it out, because if you look at him when he's driving, wherever his gun is, that's what he's looking.
Dare
So
enter
he's
left.
looking to the front. He doesn't even know you're behind him. So when you're driving and see a tank engaging by himself that's a squad mate, you need to back him up and let him know. You know, if he's chasing a tank and it looks like he's going to kill him anyhow, go with him in case another tank is over there. It's the kind of individual teamwork that we need to work on. Just keep moving with each other and supporting each other on your own, you know. We can't always call out how to do the teamwork. So we really want to promote like buddy systems. So if you see someone working alone, try and jump with them, help them out, you know. You might see, like if he's looking right when he comes around the corner, you could look left. And then if there's an armor on either side, you could spot it and call it out on TeamSpeak, and then everyone would be able to wear it, and it works out better. If for a firing line like this, another thing we can do, so if right now if engaging and they're coming out with armor, and everyone here is deployed and just shelling the fuck out of them, what you can do is start calling out who you're going to kill. Say, I'm shooting Doppelganger, the name of the guy or whatever, whatever his name is. I'm shooting Joe Schmo. And then if someone else can see Joe Schmo, they'll be like, hey, I'll shoot him too, and we'll fucking double team him. Focus our fire on people a little bit. Those kind of things are going to have to be like individualized. There's no way we're going to be able to set up a formation and get everyone in position, the right position, and then pick a target and then call it out, because the game is much too fast for that. We really want to get people thinking on their own. We want you to know what we want from you. We want people to work as teams. We want people to focus fire. And however you guys go about doing that while you're in the squad, that's fine. What's going on here?
Hey Zib, might it not look though to call out your target? I mean, just as a general rule, so if somebody's just looking to pick a target, they pick the same target you are.
That's true, it is. But you got to think, if we're in a firing like this, if we're in a firing line like this, that's all well and good. It's perfect. Can you deploy the Sunday, by the way? It's all well and good. But if we were moving and engaging, everyone would have different line of sights. I wouldn't recommend it. But if we were all posted up in the same spot, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and I just think, we used to do it in EVE all the time. When you stumble upon 5 guys, most of the time it's the first 8 seconds of the fight that matter. And if you can, get a couple guys to primary somebody, even in the first couple salvos, you can really swing a battle, before it gets totally dynamic.
Exactly. No, I know exactly what you're talking about, and to that extent, yes, it's absolutely right. If you come around a corner and you see a Vanguard looking the other way, you need to call out where the Vanguard is before you start shooting, or as you start shooting, depending on the situation goes. As soon as you start engaging, even if you think you're going to nail it, call it out and try and say, like, if you come around a corner, like, say Atrix and Udic are driving, and they go around a corner and there's like 3 tanks. In that situation, I would say call one out. Like, whoever's in the front, and before you shoot or as you're shooting, call out the name of the target you're shooting. Front tank, Joe Schmo, whatever, and then everyone else will hear you, and then you'd have 2 gunners and 2 tanks shooting at the same target. You can fuck them up quick.
Right.
Make a huge difference. It's a very good point, and you went up at a perfect time. Thank you.
The thing I want to bring up about the Vanguard, it's usually better if you don't get too close to the Vanguard, because even if you think you're going to win, they can always pop that shield where they take no damage, and they'll most likely finish you off.
Yeah, basically for the tactics for engaging armor, if you come up on a Vanguard and you're close range, go ahead and stay close range. If you come up on anything in your close range, unless there's a lot of them and you have a chance of getting out, go for it. But if you come up on a tank head-to-head and you try and leave, he's just going to fuck you up as you leave. You're going to have to either kill him or die, So I wouldn't close with Vanguards. I would rather engage them from range using our superior fire rate and just, like, unloading shells on them. Pretty much, we could just... we get a higher DPS. It's just harder to hit. But if we get 4 or 5 guys shooting at the same target, man, we'll hit them with a lot more rounds than they hit us with. And you also got to take into effect, when you're looking at the numbers game, we might be hitting them with less rounds because it's harder to aim, and they don't shoot as much because of the recoil. But, dude, when you're driving a tank and you pop around a corner and 3 rounds hit you in the face, you're going to back around like, holy shit, what the fuck was that? And it's an added value that I think is undetermined. And everyone complains about the Prowler, but I think the fire rate is really going for it if you work it effectively.
I like the Prowler best just because of the double barrel.
Yeah, sometime, I'm probably going to throw Zib under the bus here, but Zib has maxed out anchor mode. Ask him to let you drive it for a sec. I'm sure he'll let you. He's got 51% increased reload time, or decreased reload time.
Hey,
it's pretty nice.
As a general rule, I'm not talking about like a formal armor squad where you're commanding or something, but like the many squads we do all week long, if you're putting together armor, should we more or less try to insist on having gunners? I mean, it seems like the whole advantage of the Prowler is the Vulcan, and a lot of guys seem to want to pull their own tanks. If we're squad leading and you're putting together armor, should we kind of really get a little tougher on that? Do you think, as a general rule?
It's situational. If you want to, yes. If you're gonna pull tanks and everyone's gonna pull them, that's fine. What you should do is you should just have, like, so if your whole squad's gonna pull it, pull 12 Prowlers or 11 Prowlers and have a Sunday. And then when you go in as tanks are destroyed, because it's a lot harder to heal your own tank when you're doing it, those guys can start jumping in guns. That's another option we're going to use sometimes during the ops if we have to engage a huge fight in the beginning and then have to switch it up or whatnot,
It just seems the Vulcan's so fucking awesome. It just seems ridiculous. I always feel horrible when there's nobody gunning the Vulcan. I get you.
The one thing I would say about the Vulcan, and this is to anyone that's a gunner in it, the tendency is for a lot of people with the Vulcan is to look at the sky and look at planes. You've got to be on your toes for the near armor that comes around the corner, because the reload is not that fast and you're going to want the full clip. So while it's fun to look up at air and, you know, think about shooting it, be ready to kill that tank because your guy's driving is depending on you.
Yeah.
Yes.
The Vulcan, it's so powerful. Like, Atrix, have your Vulcan shoot at me real quick. Just do the whole thing.
Ring
I
bird.
just weapon lock from earlier.
Alright, kill his ass. Look what I did to Atrix. That was just a
A little
Vulcan.
over.
Stop,
Hey,
stop.
Hey.
Yeah, it's insane.
Sorry. I didn't mean to start something, Zib, but...
And I
No,
fought
it's
the
fine. I'm just
world.
throwing them up. Alright, so that aside, another thing that I want to go over, and I guess this is as good as place as any to go over it since we're already here, is when we're rolling armor and you're setting up to engage shit, one of the most treacherous things that you can set up next to is a rock, like that one. Let me put smoke on it for you. Like the rock over there by the smoke. That rock is perfect. It gives you good cover on the sides, it gives you overhead cover, but it also gives infantry a way to sneak up on you. And that is one of the easiest ways to get destroyed as a prowler, especially a deployed mode prowler doing siege mode, is when they get up on the rocks and get around you. So when you do deploy, you need to be mindful of the rocks like this. Like that berm that we were behind, it gives you a nice open view where you can see all around you 180 degrees to the front. So any target coming at you that way, you're good. Your flanks are either going to be covered or you're going to have someone watching them. But this kind of rock right here gives a perfect chance for light assaults to fly in and drop before on your tank. And I've lost a lot of tanks to it. I've seen a lot of people lose tanks to it, and I've seen it all the time, and I just want to point it out so you guys are aware of this. Whenever you're near cover or rocks like this, it's really dangerous. Not just rocks like this. If you're in a canyon or you're next to buildings, two-story buildings, infantry get in those buildings, and they get up above you, and they shoot you in the back with a decimator, and that does about 90% of the damage to this tank. If you go into close-range buildings, you're going to get fucked up. As armor, we never go near the buildings. Tech plant is like one of the few exceptions, minus maybe an amp station, where you go in and you could spawn camp the outside base a little bit to help keep them from flooding back in. But mainly, we want to stay open and in the outside area. Plus, bases like that, that's where all the mines are. That's just going to get us killed. Infantry could go in there, we can keep them out.
Phoenix quit.
Any questions on getting close to bases and being aware of infantry? Alright, so when, for instance, like if we are at a biolab and infantry goes inside, so they go in and they're in the base and they're clearing it out and we're sitting outside and there's nothing for us to shoot, all the bases on the outside are ours, what we're going to do is we're going to form around the base. So if they're taking a base and we have nothing to do, what we're going to do is we're going to blockade that base. If the enemy comes with a Sunday and tries to bring a squad in and start recapping it, it's an armor squad to protect the infantry while they're inside. Because one of the common tactics in this game is when someone's attacking, people spawn behind and attack them from behind. Our job is to protect their ass while they're in the base fighting. And if we're outside and a whole Zerg comes, we could be like, hey, fuck Alpha Bravo, we need help, man. There's like a million guys out here, and then they can come back out and back us up. But mainly, we just want to make sure that they don't go in the base and then get trapped in there, and then they start getting spawn camped and shit like that. That's what we're here to protect for that. So sometimes it does a little boring depending on the situation. As platoon leaders, we try and avoid that, but the way the game runs, unavoidable sometimes.
You can do a run through on turrets and stuff like that.
Can I ask a question, Zib, regarding the whole guy pulls up with a squad full of, or a Sunday full of squad? Is the Thunder weak in any place, or is it 100% all around?
It's weak in the rear as well. All
Okay,
vehicles are weak in the, all ground vehicles are weak in the rear. So always try and nail them in the rear if you have a choice, but I don't think the Sunday has front armor, but I'm not 100% sure on what its values are.
Okay.
I mean, it shouldn't be an
Sunday
issue
armor
if you're taking
is all over.
There's one weakness to a Sunday, because I mean Sundays have a lot of bite. The thing I would always say for a Sunday, unless you know they're just idiots, your best thing in a prowler to Sunday is range. You can outrange and get a sight from them and bombard them and then kill them. So when in doubt, if it's close in, whatever, get them at arm's length and then kill them.
Yeah. It's honestly the only people that we don't want to be engaging at range is going to be mag riders or bases. But anything else, we want to engage it at range and just fucking spray the fuck out of it with prowler rounds in deployed mode. I think it's the best way to go. We still use like smoke and scout radar for like close range fighting, but honestly, I think deploy is the way to go because it's the only advantage the prowler has. But that's a preference. You could still run whatever you want. So let me go over a few of the. These are some of the tips that NCOs are putting forward and things that we want to make sure we pay attention to. I've already gone over a couple of them, but I'm just going through the lecture notes here. Never be alone. If you can't see squad members from where you are, stop what you're doing and return to your squad. Sometimes I've seen tanks chase people into bad areas. You need to make sure that wherever you are, you got green tanks all around you on your mini-map. It needs to be second nature in your head. You need to be near the ammo sundae and you need to be near your tanks. If there comes a situation when you need to move and engage, that's fine. So if you're moving through a field and you're engaging and shit and there's fire going on and you feel like you're winning, like there's no more enemy tanks, you need to start looking for your friendly tanks and regroup, and we need to keep our guys together so we could overcome shit quicker, you know? We're not looking for one-on-one battles. Tanks are expensive. Engineers are cheap. The only way to save your tank is to back up over friendly is repairing you. Do not hesitate to back up. I think I already went over that a little bit, but I just want to cover it one more time. You need to be aware that if a tank's fighting, you're expendable. Don't ever say, hey, I'm going to back up. Just back them over. Pretty soon, everyone will learn to stand on the side, or they'll just get run over a lot. Pay attention to large, brightly colored things. Platoon and squad waypoints are just a guide point from the map. Unless told otherwise, use it as a guide and find your own micro-terrain. Basically finding rocks and trees and whatnot to use as cover. Another thing to think about is if you're fighting at a base and there's a lot of air coming out of that base, you could probably find a little cover like we had earlier, that little berm. Or I guess you guys are still there, I'm just tabbed out. But if you get behind the berm right there, you can also raise your gun up a little bit so your Vulcan gets a little bit higher range if you got a Vulcan there or whatever, and then they could get a little bit better range on planes coming in. Just something to think about.
Zib, would it be smart to move back if you're getting bombarded by air to where the
Newbie
trees are?
joined.
Yes, yes it would. If we're getting bombarded by liberators, I wouldn't mind if everyone just started backing up and dodging. I wouldn't recommend going forward because you'd probably just expose yourself to turrets. But if you try and sit still doing a lib bombardment, you're not going to make it. If you got guys already shooting at it, I would try and heal through it because usually once they start shooting at it, a lib will only get like 2 or 3 rounds off and you can sometimes heal through it. If they're just sitting there pounding you, you need to be moving around and like calling out for AA, and if they're just sitting there pounding us, then we got an AA issue. Usually they come in and even with our AA shooting at them, they still get a couple rounds off. You can heal through it, you just got to be quick on it. Like if you're any kind of deployed here and this tank, any one of these tanks takes any bit of damage, the gunner needs to be the first one on it. If you're sitting in the gun shooting at planes and your tank's not at 100%, then you're wrong. It needs to be done. Unless the tank driver is shooting away, he could get out and do it as well, but pretty much whoever's not shooting needs to be keeping the tank up all the times. The biggest thing for us is the timers for the tanks. During big battles, we're going to lose tanks quickly. We need to make sure that we're not losing them to silly shit. Not having one guy go chase 2 tanks and getting killed, because then we're going to have 1 tank short when we need it. You know what I'm saying?
Is there going to cover AP's heat turret? I mean, should we be fitting AP turrets, or does everybody just pretty much go heat Vulcan at this point?
I'll go over a little bit more on the turrets near the end here. I just want to cover some of the notes from the lecture. No, that's fine. I like the questions. It's good for the questions. So always mark your targets and call out threats in that order. So example, vanguards to the north on the road. Do not try and engage, then call them out. Call them out first, or at least at the same time. So if you see someone and you start shooting at him and you're like, fuck, I'm just going to get this guy real quick, and there's no need to fuck up, like, mark up comms and stuff. Unless you come behind an empty tank, there's no one in, call it out. Just in case. You say, call it out, and if anyone's already near you, they could just come by and maybe make sure that, like, the tide doesn't turn or there's not a heavy behind the rock or some shit. We should always be making sure we're calling stuff out. Even if you think you're going to kill it, call it out and spot it. Spot it all the time. In Armor Squad, we don't got to worry about getting heard when we're spotting shit because we're in armor. They probably hear the damn engine first anyhow. So if you ever see anything, spot it out, and that helps all the other gunners that are around you orientate faster on it. Honestly, I think we should be spotting for everything. Atrix says that what you do for your infantry class. I haven't been able to attend that yet.
Q button before you do anything.
There you go. That's pretty much what I think we're going to be doing as an outfit general rule, unless you're like a sneaky person inside their base where they can hear you. Always be calling shit out. Also, another good tactic that I've seen is There's been times when I've came around corners and I've been behind enemy tanks or really like 50, 60 meters away, and I'll tell my gunner in the Vulcan, don't shoot. And you can get right up behind it and rocking HE on the Prowler, which is the lowest damage round you could do against armor.
SIE drill us connected.
2 shots from the HE and a full clip from the Vulcan into a Vanguard from behind will destroy it in about 2 seconds flat.
Huh.
Yeah, Talk and I did something like that.
Yep,
I mean,
it's very
Sid, you and I did too.
Was it you? Yeah, it's very
Oh, yeah.
effective. So unless they're already engaging you and you're rocking the Vulcan, be aware that that shit drops off. Like the damage drop off is insane fast. It's really good close, but the further away you are, the worse it is. So don't be spraying the hell out of the Vulcan if the guy can't see you. You need to be aware of that. And when we break the teams up into little crews, hopefully you guys will be able to communicate a little more. But the Vulcan is a very strong weapon.
The Vulcan at long range, if you can manage like burst firing, because the accuracy does go off quite a bit, you could still make them fall back a bit as long as you're not just unloading the whole entire load all at once. Like I
Yeah.
usually do 5 rounds, stop, and then another 5 rounds and stop.
The damage drop off stays the same, but you do get a lot more rounds on target, which you're saying. If you burst it in 5 rounds, or if you hold it, like next time, anyone in the tank right now, you could check it out right now. If you hold it or burst it, the little spread, the cone is a lot less. Something you really want to get good at, and by switching gunners and tankers, you'll get a lot more practice with it. And then if all the people are using the same guns, I mean, I'm not saying that you have to use the Vulcan, but right now it is one of the better guns there are. It is crap at long range, but I mean, you could use whatever you want. I find most people are using the Vulcan because I think it does better, but it's all up to your opinion and your preference on the guns you want to do.
It's definitely more versatile.
Vulcan. It is pretty versatile. You can use it against anything, which is my biggest appeal, and the just beast
Yeah.
mode in close range.
Yeah,
But
it's good
aside from the
against tanks.
Vulcan,
Oh, go ahead.
yeah, it's really good against tank. I mean, I want to talk about it a little bit more at the end, but I want to kind of get over these. Choke points. Choke points are everyone's enemy. Choke points hate everything and will find a way to kill you if you stop in them. The best way to approach a choke point is head first at maximum speed while firing wildly. Usually that's 100% true. That's exactly how we're going to do it. If there's a bridge, we're not going to cross it. We're going to go around it if we can, and if we do have to cross it, we're going to set up and shoot the fuck out of it, and then once we think it's clear enough, we're going to drive across, usually with infantry covering us. But we're never going to stop anywhere where a tank can't get around you. If it's a space where there's only 2 tanks wide and you stop, you're absolutely wrong. If there's a Sunday that pulled in front of you, an enemy Sunday, you should light it up. Once it's dead, you move on. Other than that, other than an actual enemy vehicle blocking your path, you shouldn't stop. If a Puggy stops in front of our armored convoy when we're moving through something, we'll go ahead and kill him just because it's not worth it. An armored convoy, I've seen armored convoys of like 15 tanks get destroyed because one tank will stop on a bridge and then guys with heavies will just shoot in there and it's like fish in a barrel. We got to be really conscious of that, guys. When you're driving through a valley, when you're driving through tight quarters and there's not open air ground around you, you need to be on the balls of your toes, like spinning your turret around, looking around like, fuck, where is the infantry guy that's going to fly over me and drop C4 on my head? Because we've all done it as infantry, and most of the armor guys I know have had it happen to them. So we need to be really cautious when you're in areas where infantry can approach your tank without being seen closely. Because all they got to do is get within like 20 or 30 feet and just jump in the air and hover or run up and throw tank mines, and it takes you out with a quickness.
Yeah, bridges are great choke points for tank mines. Like 90% of the
Very
tank mines
joint.
I've ever encountered have been on a bridge, just because there's no way around it besides
Yep.
to avoid the bridge.
Also, another thing is if you're rolling night vision on your secondary gun, whatever it might be, with night vision you can see landmines. So you don't have to spec into mine armor, you just have to have a gunner who's aware of what they look like. They look like a little boxy outline, and then you could just shoot them with the gun and blow it up and all's good. So if you got night vision scope, let your gunners know and make sure that you pass that info around, because it's good to know that you can see the mines and destroy them, because they're pretty beast mode against tanks as well. Like one-shot them and shit.
I couldn't
Here,
even
I'll,
tell you what I have on this thing.
There you go. Don't run over that or shit. I don't personally have night vision. Nobody gets searched for that.
Yeah, that's a
Also,
mine, alright.
when we're rolling armor squad, we gotta be aware that as armor squad, we will never be able to capture a point. The only way we could effectively capture a point is if we have half our combat power dismount to go do it. We'd be in much better position covering other people going in. So maybe if you're just in a fuck around squad and you want to have you guys dismount, that's fine. But during platoon ops, we're not going to be doing dismounts. What we can do is if we're gonna do like a special event and do like a platoon-wide max push, yeah, we could deconstruct our tanks. But as far as capturing bases, Charlie Squad will not be dismounting. They're gonna be mobile at all times. To dismount it, it's not worth it. All right, I'm just going through this here. That's mainly what I wanted to cover. The biggest thing that I need to cover in the end here is going to be communication. I just wanted to go through all the notes that some of the NCOs had put in there that they wanted to have added to the armor training because you get everyone's input. But for right now, we're going to talk about communication. And for communication, I'm going to go over general communication, but most of the things I'm talking about are going to be for outfit or serious operations type communications. So when we run ops, you're going to be using cardinal directions. You're going to be looking enemy to the south, vanguard to the north, you know, et cetera, et cetera. We all do this all the time. The one thing that we need to take into account is from where Frickus is to like where Vantris is, there's like 100 meters or 50 meters or so. So there's this huge distance. So when you say he's to the right of me, depending on where other tanks are, that shit just does not fly. Everyone is in different positions, and also over there, all of that shit doesn't go. If you see someone, call it out. Enemy, to the front, north of the waypoint. Orientated on our line of like approach. Like if we're all shooting in one direction, you say he's right in front of the firing line. That's also a guide for us to use here. Oh sweet, checkmate it.
Yeah, in infantry we use our squad numbers to if we're spread out, but obviously that doesn't work when everybody's in a tank.
Armor does, yeah, exactly. Unless you get out of your tank, we don't know what your number is, so it makes it a little bit difficult. That's why we really want to focus on the guy in the back. Like I said, like if a tank is engaging something and one of you guys sees it and you could support him or call him back if he's getting extended, but the guy in the back is going to be the one calling the shots because they could call it by name. If you are driving a tank and you're in the gun and you look over, and I look over here and I see fucking Panda on this tank and I see a guy running up behind him, by all means, if you can see where he's looking, like right now I could see his tank is pointing to the east and I can see the guy behind him coming up. I'll be like, hey Panda, there's a guy right behind you with a mine. You know, that kind of shit is okay because you're giving a name so he knows to turn around and he knows it's him and he knows it's not like just saying behind you where every fucking tanker turns around real quick and looks behind him because they think they're going to get mined. Like that kind of shit it's critical.
It's disorienting.
It is disorienting. If you're going to use a cardinal direction, like, or not a cardinal direction, but like a facing direction, like behind you, on your right, on your left, you need to call that person by name, and you need to have eyes on them. Otherwise, you're saying northeast or south. Any questions on communication?
Yeah, regarding the Atrix behind you, should we probably call that out based on where Atrix is looking, or where
yes,
Atrix's
of course.
tank
The
is
only
facing?
reason you'll say that is because it's a lot easier to process. It's something
Okay.
you don't have to say, but if you could see Atrix looking behind him, or like if he's looking, don't move Atrix, if he's looking where he's looking there, and the guy is just on his left, you could say, hey, to your left, and he could look to his left real quick and then kill the guy there. But if you don't have eyes on him and you can't see where he's looking, just give a cardinal direction. Be like, hey, light assault behind our firing line. And then everyone will eyes on, and probably the gunners in the top will kill him in like 2 seconds. But just call it out. And oh shit, there's a scythe.
Yeah, scythe.
Scythe over this
guy.
He's doing a barrel roll.
LTC, get off
Whatever,
the
leave him
turret.
alone. Gives a
You're my
shit, dude. He's not
fireman.
gonna do anything.
Might be Darren.
All right, so let's continue here. I think this training's too long and I haven't done anything for a while because everyone's just going ape shit over shooting that damn sign down.
Quickly on the 80 heat thing, I don't want, or I don't want to jump your order, but I don't want you to miss it.
Yeah, no, I'm still getting to that. Trek, did you want to add anything?
I'm getting tired.
Anything in particular that you want to, any tips or tricks that you want to share with everyone while we got everyone here?
Well, I'd like to make a comment about the AP heat and high explosive.
Okay, yeah, I was basically going to go over the numbers for them, the actual damage numbers, but if you want to talk about them a bit, go for it.
No, you go ahead.
All right, so I'm gonna go over the basic numbers for you. So I'm just gonna list out the facts, and then once I'm done listing the facts and the actual damage sheets from the good fucking graph shit, we'll talk about like effectiveness in game and what some of the terms mean.
Sounds good.
So we've already talked about the side facing of the tank and then the damage that we take from different things like that. All of the tanks have the same amount of health, which is 8,000. The only difference is that the Vanguard, instead of taking 10% less in the front, it automatically starts with 25% less. So it starts with 15% extra front armor. So if you're ever fighting a Vanguard, shoot it in the side or the top over the front anytime. Even if that's the best shot you have, you got to be aware they're taking 25% less. That's the biggest reduction in anything. And then if they get their front armor, they get an additional 5, so they could get it down to 70%. So be aware of that when you're fighting Vanguards. For the damage, we'll start with the damage. It basically works like there's the Vanguard damage and then there's the Mag Rider damage. Mag Riders do less than the Vanguard. We do the exact same amount of damage as the Vanguard, except we have to land ours with 2 shots. So it's a little bit harder to get both shots on target, but that's how the damage breaks down. So we'll start with the heat rounds. For the heat rounds, the damage is 1750 for the Vanguard and the Prowler. The Mag Rider does 1550 with it. The Lightning does 1400, and the velocity is 200, and the splash is 6. So it's a fairly fast round, and it does decent splash, and it does pretty good damage, 1750. AP rounds, the damage is 2000 for the Vanguard and the Prowler, 1785 for the Mag Rider, and 1540 for the Lightning. The velocity is 225, so it's the fastest and straightest, and the splash is 1, so you need a direct hit. There's no splash really, or very extremely minimal. And then we come to the HE. The HE damage is 1300 for the Vanguard and the Prowler. Mag Rider is 1100, the Lightning's 925, and the splash is 10. So basically the biggest differences you're going to see is the damage for the heat is 1750, the damage for the HE is 1300. The splash for the heat is 6, the splash for the HE is 10. So that's really the biggest difference between them. I personally like them both. Heat is much more versatile. AP is amazing against armor because 1, it's amazingly straight, and if you nail 2 shots, it's literally like 8 shots to kill a tank if you're hitting them in 100% damage and not in a reduction area, if you land all the shots. But it's also extremely straight and it's extremely fast. HE rounds, they lob and they go slower, so you kind of got to lob them like slightly indirect. And the heat is kind of a mix between the two. It's a little bit easier to nail shit from long range, especially when you're deployed. For outfit ops, I would prefer, if we're rolling at least 5 tanks, I would prefer to have at least 3 of them be heat, and then AP and HE be the minority in the things we're taking, just because of the versatility things. If we're all rolling AP, it's going to be a problem. If we're all rolling HE, it's going to be a problem. But as long as we strike a balance, I think that's fine. Is there any questions about it before we open it up to comments?
I don't know, maybe you have something planned for this later, but regarding the Lightning attachments, I know that our main battle tank is the Prowler, and it's our bread and butter, but I know a few people, I think Sancho prefers to run with a Lightning. Any comments regarding the Lightning attachments?
Do we want to talk about any of the Prowler attachments first, or do we just want to jump into the next one? Is there any question about Prowler weapons that we just went over right there, the damage for them, the way they work, and then we'll go into Lightning later?
I got one quick question though. Splash damage is not the same as the full damage, correct?
I think it is for the HE right now, and I think that might be changing, but it pretty much is full value, and that's why the Prowler is so good at HE, is because with 2 shots you can kill any infantry no matter what kind of flak armor they have if you hit within the right range of them. It's really powerful against infantry, but it's not so good against armor, especially because the damage is lower and also because of the arc in it.
I think, because what I had read is that the splash damage of all of them, including heat and HE, is 1,000.
Well, that's just it, and life of an infantry is 1,000. But
yeah.
The splash, that for the infantry damage, yeah, that's the same. It's just a bigger range with HE, a lot bigger actually. It's almost 50% more, 6 to 10, you know.
Yeah, oh god.
So it's really good for when you're spawn camping a tower or something and shooting them in that top room or in buildings. You can clear them out pretty quick.
Halberd versus Vulcan. Pure AP or what?
Honestly, the halberd is if you were doing a firing line, you were just mainly sieging from long range. The halberd might be a little more useful. My personal preference is it does have drops, so it's still got a learning curve on the halberd, and it's really good from short to medium range. But the benefit of the Vulcan, in my mind, is a lot better because it's amazing DPS against all targets in short range. It does leave your gunner extremely useless during long range engagements, but aside from that, it's pretty damn powerful. Does anyone a fan of the halberd want to talk that up, or Torx, did you have anything to add, or Trek, did you have anything to add about the other weapons?
Personally, I run the halberd. And I find it pretty useful against anti-armor at like mid ranges.
Yeah, that's what I noticed about the halberd is unlike the Vulcan, it's not constrained to short range, the cost being effectiveness against air and infantry.
Yeah.
What I was alluding to with it was, should we go ahead and at least have one or two prowlers within the group also running with a halberd instead of a Vulcan?
Why?
Just to add a little bit more firepower and still have, gunners doing something, but still have the other prowlers running with Vulcans, just as you put HE versus heat.
I'm not gonna. I don't want to get in detail enough to try and assign people to have separate top guns. I think if someone wants to run a halberd, that's fine. If someone wants to run a Vulcan, that's fine. I think what the Vulcan takes away from in long-range combat, you can make up with an engineer healing the Prowler while he's in deployed mode, unloading rounds. In the long-range combat, because you get a little more sustainability. And then when you do take it to close mode, the weaknesses of the Prowler being the not reinforced front armor and not floaty magic tank, and all you have is the Vulcan to back it up, that makes a huge difference. So I personally prefer the Vulcan at all times, and then I don't really care though. It's really up to whatever you want to put on your tank, man. You and your buddy for the night, you and your crewmate are going to be the ones that are going to be the ones using it. So it's really up to you guys. As long as you're not getting stupid like, I don't know, Cobalt or something. Well, actually, that's pretty good. Actually, none of them are really stupid. They're all pretty good, just depending on which one you want to use.
They all have their uses. Like, I've seen a few
exactly.
walkers defend an entire armor column of Zerg.
Yeah, they're all useful. I'm just gonna let people unlock whatever they want cert-wise and shit. I just want to make sure we have a decent balance between things. Personally, my preference is that right now the Vulcan is the best option out of all of them. Even anti-air, the Walker, it gets a way better range of motion, but the damage is like ridiculous. I've killed so many sites that tried to rocket pod me with my Vulcan than anything else, man.
Even in my opinion, the Basilisk has its place. I mean, it's not good against anything, but it is the jack of all trades.
Yeah. So, does anyone want to try out anything on a tank? Like the HE and stuff like that, the heat. I have all of them unlocked on my tank, and I could pull it, and people could try it out if they want. I don't really want to go over too many formations and shit. I was originally thinking about going over formations, but the way the game is going to get balanced and nerfed, I want to really get an idea down, like an idea for Armor Squad. I want them to get in the habit of thinking that it's their job to protect infantry and to suppress the bases and to protect the bases when they're trying to get cut off. These are the things I want people to be remembering. The squad leader during the ops will be the one that are like going up with you and saying, hey, we need to move this way, there's guys coming from this side, and organizing you a little bit. But a lot of this organization needs to come from like you guys on your own. You need to be able to see like where the lapses are, where we're short. We form a firing line. There's a huge gap right here. You should be like, okay, I'll put my tank here and defend this spot. So that's basically what we're getting at is we want to get a lot of smaller teamwork by having people working as buddies and just passing along tips and tricks and any info we know about the game. So basically we're getting everyone up to the same like skill level, and we're just, I don't know, making everyone better. Training, I guess, huh?
Hey Zib, as an outfit, or a squad leader in this outfit, how serious do we want to get about enforcing stuff about not running off, chasing that tank that's fleeing and stuff like that? I mean, I've seen our armor squads get torn apart, when we're spread out over, 700, 800 meters, and everybody's chasing their kill and they want to get their, their moment of glory, and I get it, but In Eve, we used to be pretty militant about shit like that. If we're
Yep.
fighting as a
Very
squad, don't go
connected.
chasing down your kill at some planet, and because nobody gives a shit.
One thing you could do as squad leader is like if we see armor up at the tech plant, and we just drive up right now and we're approaching them. You could throw down a quick mark and be like, "Hey, engage your armor and don't go past the purple smoke." So everyone would be like moving out and then staying within an area. It really comes down to squad leadership, and honestly, our leadership is, I want to say we're like the best at it, but we're still learning lessons ourselves, man. We just started doing outfit ops and our armor squad composition,
left.
our air squad. We're constantly coming up with new ideas and testing them and trying new things. But for now, like basically, if you're doing something and during an outfit op, if the squad leader tells you to do something, we need it done that way. I don't mind you guys coming up with initiatives saying, "Oh shit, hey, Sunday over here to the east behind this big rock over here, engaging it now." The squad leader can say, "Okay, engage it," or "No, fuck the Sunday, come over here, we need you in this battle." And at that point, it's really up to the squad leader because you might see a Sunday sitting there that's just a good idea to stop and kill it, but you don't know what's up there. What if your squad leader has Alpha and Bravo squad getting pounded to shit by vanguards and they need you up there to help them? It's more important than a single Sunday, even if you think in your mind it's better. It's a timing issue in this game. The battle moves so fast that we need to be responding a lot, and it's an issue with just quickness and responding to orders. When people tell you to do shit, we gotta do it quick. We don't want to scream, do it now, because that's just fucking annoying. But we do need people to respond quickly so we can respond to the threats quicker. If you watch some of the videos of us during Friday Night Ops or when Perfect Storm was streaming and shit like that, you could see a lot of the times that we saved ourselves from getting overrun by DVS Zerg. It's because we were using, smarter tactics and coordination. If one guy sees something and starts shooting it, who gives a fuck? If that one guy sees something and starts shooting it and says, "Hey guys, there's something over here," and then 20 more guys start shooting it, that's where we get the victories from,
Yeah, regarding command structure, if I may, Zib, it's like people like Zib and Atrix have been here since beta, I assume, and they usually know what they're talking about. Like, it's fun to go get your glory. Like, I'm up here, hey, I found a galaxy, but who do you think's gonna die first? It's gonna be Taco. I'm past where I was told to go, and I'm looking into their spawn.
And Taco died lot.
Well, I've just seen most of the time when we get ourselves in deep, it's because everybody's mavericking around. That's and when we stick together is when we kick some serious ass.
It's absolutely true, and that's another thing. Is like honestly, when we say in our recruitment and all of our web pages, always like, "Hey, we're about teamwork, coordination, and military tactics." All of that shit in this game revolves around communication. It's how we're going to do everything. It's how we're going to get everything done. It's because it's not because we have more tanks than them. It's because our tanks are shooting the same targets. Our tanks are using better cover. Our tanks are ready for the enemy because we have scouts in the air telling us where they are. That's why we do better than most people. That's why on ops nights we always fuck people up. It's really like during an op like that, Ventures, if someone pulled ahead of you, I would call them out. During an ops night, I don't know if anyone realizes this or not, but we actually have a whole Google Drive where we keep recommendations on all of our members. If people don't listen to orders, we make note of it. We know that they don't do that. We're not going to kick you out. We're not going to fire you. It's a fucking outfit. No one's getting paid to play. But we're not going to promote someone that would rather fucking run around and do whatever they think is better than listening, It's just...
Is there going to be concentration of fire?
Yes, it's going to be concentration of fire based on when we're in deploy mode and you're calling out who you're shooting. And you do it by calling your name. No squad leader or one person can do that. I would recommend whoever's in the front or whoever starts an engagement. If you see someone and you start shooting them, say, "Armor to the northeast, engaging now, shooting dick face," or whatever, and then everyone starts shooting dick face. But those kind of things it's really up to you guys, man. That's the way we think be the easiest, but however you guys start implementing it, that's the way it's going to be. And on the same page as communication, when you guys are in TeamSpeak, just forming normal squads, be it armor or infantry, whatnot, if you guys are playing around and not really listening to each other and just doing whatever, or maybe hanging out with 2 or 3 guys or have your friends, go to the casual. If you get a squad with 6+ members, or like 6 to 8 members, and you guys are like working as a team and working together, go down to the infantry squad and start playing together, because literally the casual squads should not have more than 4 or 5 people. 4 or 5 people in one room, just talking and stuff, it just gets really unbelievable, because then half the people are serious and half the people are casual. So just be aware of the channel you're in, guys. If you're in the serious channel and people are like, not being serious, ask them to go to the casual one. Just keep it separate. So when people jump in, they know if like, hey, I want to hang out and talk to my buddies, I can go to casual and like, we could go do silly shit with the flashes or whatnot. It's all cool. But if people want to play seriously, they could be in the serious channels. And then the communication issue also as well. The people in the serious channels can also be communicating it more precisely. And by communication issues, I don't mean not talking and just saying north and south. Also, when you're giving a report, so right now, if we're firing at this base, we're firing to the north-northeast. And then over here on the southeast on that mountain there, if there was a scythe flying sideways, like not even coming at us, if someone gets on and be like, hey, there's a scythe, he's to the southeast over the mountain like 400 meters away flying away from us, you know what, dude, you really didn't need to say that because that has no impact on what's going on here. If that scythe turned this way and started slowing down and looked like he's going to line up on someone, be like, hey, Atrix, hey there, look to the southeast, man, it looks like that scythe is going to line up some rocket pods on you. That's something that's pertinent and that you should pass. So be aware, when you're calling a threat, unless someone can actively engage it in the squad, or it's a serious threat to someone else, like, so, hey, you look up and you see, like, 200 scythes heading the other way, not coming at us, but there's 200, yeah, you're going to report that shit, because 200's, like, just fucking odd, you know?
Yeah, I'm going home if I see
Does that make sense for anyone, like, the clear and concise reporting? We just need to keep it clear. If you look at something, like, if you look in there and you see something and you want to report it, take a seat and think about what you're gonna say, because I hear a lot of guys go, "I see a guy." Where? He's over here to the north by the tree, and the east. And it's like, dude, you've been talking for 30 seconds and you haven't told me anything. Like, just take a second, think about what you're gonna say, and then say it. And that way, you can just keep the channel clear a little bit and still get the pertinent information across. Does that make sense, everyone?
Yeah,
Yeah.
what I'm to say is report important things quickly. Like, there's a rock to my right.
Well, I think it
Nobody
makes
gives a shit.
also to, like you said, orient yourself before you just start talking to.
Exactly. Kind of get an idea of what you're going to start saying before you say it. It's not a bad idea to, like, whatever your hotkey is, just like right before you push it, just think to yourself, be like, I'm going to say he's the northeast guy. Okay, there we go. And then say it, you know? Just in your head real quick. We used to do that in the military. That was like a military thing. It was like how they trained you how to use the radio, just so you didn't sound like a dumbass. Like a da-da-da, you know? Alright, do we got any more questions on Armor Squad? Basically, for the Armor Squad, like, the biggest things we want to get people thinking about is looking at the terrain, using micro-terrain to their advantage, using the little hills and the trees and shit like that, using it to their own advantage, protecting yourself from infantry, because that's one of the biggest killers. The biggest killers of tanks are airplanes and infantry. I hardly ever die to other armor, you know? And then we also want to make sure people are giving each other enough room. When you're driving a tank, like when we're doing a convoy, if you're the driver, you should be driving in third person. So you can see other tanks around you, so you don't do that number where you're rubbing side to side with a tank and pushing them slowly up a hill or some shit. You need to be aware of what you're doing with a tank. And when we do drive together, you guys should not be close at all. So, I mean, traffic jams is a fucking horrible way. It's a horrible reason to die. It's because someone's driving like a dumbass.
I got
one of the
war games. Tons of ways to die.
One of the worst things I see is when we get, like, into a more tight area and then, like, Tacos is turned sideways and now Anonymous is forward and now can't nobody move.
I have
when you're driving, if you hit someone like this and you start pushing them, fucking stop, dude. I've seen people push people for like 2 or 3 miles, man. If you start pushing a teammate, that's fine. Shit happens. Just stop until you guys get disconnected, because there's this weird glitch where, like, when you touch each other, if you don't both stop, you can never really get unhooked. So just stop and then back away from each other slowly, and then move on with your shit, you know. But don't try and push through people. It doesn't work, and the physics of the game make it even weirder than it should be.
How do you go to third person?
Hit T.
T. I have a question that has really nothing to do with squads, but when you're backing up in a tank...
I just want to get this right.
Hold on a sorry. Let him finish asking this question. Go ahead, Atrix.
If I'm backing up in a tank, the steering reverses, and if I go forward and back a lot, that really messes me up all the time trying to turn.
Yes, that is a very good point. It's one of the little things that I should have added to the notes to bring up in the class. But if you're driving forward and you start, like, slowing down and to back up, sometimes it switches. So if you're going backwards and you hit left, you go to the right. If you're going forwards and you hit left, you go to the left. So sometimes when you're in a position, like, for instance, here, who's this right here?
Is there any way to turn that off or change it?
I have no idea, dude.
Treats the the tank like it has wheels, not tracks.
Yeah, it's basically like right now. So if you wanted to turn left, start rotating to the left, Panda. Yep, just like that. Now press back and do that. And you go the other way. So if you're in a position and you're trying to stop and rotate in position, the easiest way to do it is to stop completely, like completely stop. And if you're doing any little bit of like if you try and turn and it turns the wrong way, just hit W and then start turning again. And that'll get you forward, like it'll put you in like drive or something. So that way when you start turning to the left, it does respond to left again instead of having to do this reverse and remember which way you're going type shit. It is a problem, but the easiest way to fix it is to stop and just tap W unless you're backing up on purpose. But yeah, it's just, you kind of got to get used to it, which it was a very good point. It's a very good point. If anyone else has any armor tricks like that that I can't seem to remember right now, please bring them up. Anything about driving a prowler or tips and tricks for prowlers. Definitely lights. That's all vehicles. You want to turn your lights off.
I think putting a hood on it has actually helped me with the Prowler quite a bit in terms of orienting myself because the thing's a fucking box.
Yes. No, like seriously, the hood ornament sits in the very center, and with our guns to the side, it can be a bit disorienting. Like, without the hood ornament, I could think that the barrels being over the center means that I'm centered, but I'm actually sitting at about 10 degree of rotation.
Can we talk about
So we're gonna
search for lightnings?
Yes, we're going to talk about search for lightnings. Dragon, would you like to do this, man? You're better at it than me. I could go over it, but I'm just kind of parroting information that I got mainly from you anyhow.
I'm a terrible tier.
Okay, I'll put your information in. It's all good.
I could pitch in, but...
That's fine, yeah, please do, because if I'm wrong, just go ahead and correct me. But for lightnings, the biggest search, like we'll just talk about the three main certs. For any vehicle, let me just go over this real quick. This is a blanket one that we can cover for vehicles right now. If you're getting vehicles, your primary armament, you should be upgrading the scope and the ammo count for it up to the point where it starts to get diminishing returns. So about halfway, that should be a goal for any vehicle you use with a primary gun. For any vehicle that you use, like if you're an armor squad member or you're an air squad member, you should be upgrading your acquisition time. And depending on your battle rank and how long the game's been out, I think most people should be about 7 points into the acquisition timer on the vehicle they use the most. Aside from that, Lightning will go with performance slot. The rival combat chassis does reverse speed and turret rotation, while the acceleration one is obviously the racer one for speed. I believe the speed one is the better of the two.
No,
which one did you say for the Lightning?
The combat chassis is the better one since the nerf to uphill traction.
Oh, well, excuse me. Since the nerf to uphill traction, it is going to be the rival combat one, which is probably going to be that way all the way around. But yeah, it's like pretty much adding hill climbing into the rival combat. So rival combat should be only one right now until they ever fix that. I don't know. I would probably put 1 point into rival combat and then hold out on any other points until they figure out what they're going to nerf with the lightning. What do you think, Sacred?
Yeah, just the 1 point enough was is good enough to see a major change in how your tank turns, even with just level 1, because I have both of them maxed out at 3.
Yeah, I have leveled up combat chassis, and it really does change the speed that you turn. It's pretty amazing.
Absolutely, yeah.
And for the combat chassis, even though it says it increases your reverse speed, don't make it. It's underestimated. It's nothing. It's like maybe 3 or 4 extra miles an hour.
Honestly, I have the 2 levels of rival combat on the Prowler, and I could bank turns and like you don't drift as much. I can notice a difference in control wise, at least not reverse speed, but definitely for control.
Track news.
For the Prowler, yeah. For the Lightning, sort of.
Yeah, it kind of slips sides. All right, we'll
the
move
only
on
thing
to
you're getting from the rival chassis for the Lightning is just so you can turn better. That's all you're using it for.
That's what I mean, the control.
Yeah, but like where it says like brake power and reverse speed, no,
Whoops.
you're not really. You're not looking into. It's not like you're looking for like I can't wait to brake a lot quicker. No, you're looking for the turning capability.
It's a test.
Yeah, that's
It'll
pretty
never
much what
quick.
you're getting from the Prowler as well. I mean, you don't really need the acceleration because when we're moving in convoys, if you go faster than all the other guys, except maybe as a Lightning, but considering they did the hill thing, not anymore, but As a Prowler, if you're going faster than the other tanks, and that just means you're going to get shot first. But, it's really up to you. You could still make it work if you're a lot more maneuverable in battle. So, I mean, it really swings either way. But these are preferences based on, like, Sacred Dragon and other Lightning drivers, what they have mainly inputted into it. I'm not a big Lightning driver myself, only Skyguard, really. But a lot of it is common sense. So let's move on to defense. And for the defense slot, the top armor is going to be your best one, just because if you look over here at Fricas's Lightning,
joined.
the top armor is the most important, or the most prevalent armor spot. It's like the widest area. The front armor and the side,
Reflect joined.
you could barely see them at all. The top armor is good. So, like, for instance, if we were shooting to the southwest here, drive up here, Fricas, onto the hill. All right, for instance, if it's turned around and his ass was facing
Hand
towards
gas
the tech
Robin
plant,
City to Lake.
and he was shooting the way I'm facing right now, standing on top of him, anything shooting back at him will be striking him in the top armor. They won't be able to hit his side armor or his front armor. It'd be hitting his top. So he'd be getting a 10% reduction. When he's driving, yeah, it might not be as easy, but considering that this vehicle has such a high top armor, if you're situationally aware of what side of your vehicle is facing the enemy, you could reduce a lot of the damage strikes by getting top armor. Plus, it would be awesome because you could get the top armor cert and then use that for both when you do Lightning as AP driving and Skyguard, so it's a way to conserve certs. I don't know. I think that's the best way.
I got a quick question about that, because I had read somewhere that it has to do with the arc that the bullet comes in and not necessarily where it strikes. Like the top
I haven't
armor.
heard.
Because what I had read, and I don't know if it's true, but that like top armor only affects anything that comes from more than a 45-degree angle. Like up.
I don't know. For the top armor one, let's hold off on that. Don't go purchasing top armor just yet, guys. Let's look into it a little more. We'll look into Reddit and shit, because I haven't heard about that. If you could find that article and link it to me, dude, I'll look into it, because I definitely want to know if that's a big thing, because that's what I'm advising people to do right now, and if it's not right, then it won't be a very good way to do it. So
I'll
hold
see
off
where
on
I'm
top
at.
armor. We'll see what we can find out about that, and I'll probably post something in our Imperial Reach forums sometime soon here about whenever we figure out what the story is with that. What's the other one? Utility. Utility for the Prowler, I'm not too sure, or for the Lightning, I would either suggest smoke or scout radar, but I don't. What do you think, Sacred?
Radar or fire suppression.
You don't think the smoke is worth to break the locks?
The way you described it, Dib, is the one or two lightnings that we'll have would be scouts as is.
Yes.
So they can tell you, hey, they heavy ambush coming up here, or...
Well, as a scout, yeah, like if you're driving around with the scout radar, yeah, that's cool. I mean, like, if you could make it work, you'd have to be close, and it would only work against infantry, really. Any armor you would see before you got that close to, unless it was close range. I was thinking more of smoke along the lines of, like, you come out around an open field and there's a bunch of heavies locking onto you, like 3 or 4 at once, and you could just pop smoke and back up and be like, hey, there's a lot of fucking heavies over here, and that's kind of why I think about it. And then the other one I was thinking about was the scout guard, but I don't really know. I think it's a lot of people use those missiles now, and smoke is pretty nice because it breaks them, but you could always break around a corner or something as well. So I don't really have a preference for that slot, tell truth.
Yeah, it's a toss-up, to be honest.
Yeah.
Proximity radar for the Lightning honestly isn't even that good. I have it set to only at level 2 right now, but it's only 30 meters.
Yeah, it maxes out at 50 meters. It's not.
You can get a flash at like level 2 or 3, and it's at like 75.
Yeah, it's level 2 Mach 50 meters. Much better scout vehicle.
Yeah, but also for the fire suppression, that's a pretty good one for the Lightning, by the way, because sometimes those Devastators, if they get a good, like, shot on you, they could fucking put you on fire at once, and you could just easily book away with the fire suppression and get around a corner and hit it, and then you're back in the green, and you could drive away. So it's a good way to make quick passes, or if you're scouting and you come around the corner and get hit by one too many guys, it might save your ass. It might not, but, it's a utility. It's really a choice. If you really want to get technical and talk about choices because you're looking to put points into it, I would suggest you talk to Sacred Dragon, or who the fuck is it that drives the other Lightning? Santos. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Santos or Sacred Dragon. Sacred Dragon's here now. If you guys want, you could talk about it afterwards. Let me see. Make sure I'm covering everything in the lecture notes. I'm sorry, there's not really a lot of practicing we can do with the tanks. I don't really want to go over like formations and shit, so I'm not
Gerald
really
timed out.
worried about how you guys drive. As long as we maintain that distance rule and people follow each other when we drive, I think we'll be all right. Also, if you're driving in the front, like if you're the front driver and you're trying to get to the squad waypoint, your gunner, if you're gunning for someone, you could hit H or you could open up your map and let him know, like if you're coming up on a fork on a road, help him. He can't, if you're driving and you look at a map, you're going to stop, period. There's no way to keep driving. So if you're not driving, take that chance to look at the map for the drivers and then give them a little tip. This is like something that all you guys can do at any time with any of the outfit members is if someone's like driving or something, you could open your map and help them out, give them a little tip, be like, hey, let's go this way, there's a shortcut this way, shit like that. That's going to be on you to do, like I squad lead and platoon lead all the time, and looking at the map is a pain in the ass when I'm driving. It'd be nice to have someone to help you out with that kind of thing. And by guiding them on the map, I mean tell them before they miss a turn type deal. Alright, I'm pretty much done here. I covered the majority of the things. Does anyone have any questions? Or anyone not 100% sure about what we would be doing in an armor squad during an operation, or what the mission of our armor squad is? Like, is anyone unsure about anything? Does anyone have any questions still that they think they need to be answered?
I came in late, but it sounds like you covered everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to go over basic tactics a little bit, but I really did with the armor positions. Basically, if we're going to be doing an armor engagement against superior, more people than us, it's going to be a defensive battle. We're going to be in deploy mode until we could reduce the numbers enough for us to advance. It's something you want to think about when you're in an armor. When you're driving and you're shooting and you want to think whether I should stay and shoot or move forward, think about how many tanks do they have and how many tanks do we have. If they have more or even numbers, we're going to shoot from range, the one exception being mag riders. If we are moving and shooting together, we just need to make sure we keep our coordination. If two tanks are charging at the same tank and they both stop like 20 feet away, you're doing it wrong. One of the tanks needs to flank around the side, try and shoot him in the back. Always go for that back shot. And with mag riders or vanguards, if you have more than one tank attacking, then it always helps out. You could always get him to turn. One person will always get a shot, pretty much.
Hey, give me a sec. Taco's coming out on an NC character. I'm gonna pull a vanguard if anybody wants target practice. That Reaver coming in his eye.
I just got TA'd.
How are you gonna pull a vanguard if you don't?
Give me a second. Please shooting at me.
Yeah, Stacey, don't kill them.
Training.
I didn't kill him, I just warned him.
You just scared him.
Sorry, Zib.
I'll be right back.
Alright, is anyone running an AP Prowler out here?
I'm not. My guys can go grab one if you would like.
I'm gonna go grab one right now.
Can I
Already
soapbox
on
for
it.
a second?
What?
Can I soapbox for a second?
Yeah, go for it.
Like in the middle of the ship, could very easily happen in a Friday night ops. It's
Low-key,
important
okay,
to. Sorry, I didn't quite practice one. It's important to trust your platoon and trust your squad mates. Like, hey,
Trek joined.
if you go forward, you're going to die faster. Like that is, you're 500% more likely to die if you go
Gizmo connected.
first. And so it's important to trust that, hey, Alpha Squad will peel off those heavies, and my teammates will attack the tank that's
Spark
hitting me.
slap.
So just
Oh, you hacked
we're a
them.
team. That's probably why you joined Imperial Reach, because you didn't want to follow Brit and run around like morons.
Yeah.
Holy shit, thing's slow.
I would like to make a comment about the channels we have in TeamSpeak. if I
Gizmo
could.
timed out.
Yeah, go ahead.
I would appreciate it more people would, and, it's just my thing, if people would play in the platoon channels instead of the casual. I go into the casual play and there's the casual speak and there's like 20 people in there and it
Low-key.
gets
Oh,
hectic
joined.
and it's just not my thing. So if anybody wants to do like organized stuff, and not really rattle off all the time, and I'm not knocking anybody because everybody's here to have fun. But
I
would,
take responsibility for
Trip
that.
left.
I would
That's
join.
also my fault.
I'd like to join one of those channels with people in it.
Well, the thing about it is, Super Thrive is anyone who wants to do serious thing. Hey man, like I think I announced this just a while ago when I talked about communication, but I want the exact same thing. I want people that are gonna.
Oh, we got an enemy lightning ahead. Oh, it's Taco.
I want people to do both. I want people to play casual, but when they do get serious, like if you're in the casual channels, I don't want you to be more than like 5 or 6 people. Because honestly, if you're casual with more than 5 or 6, it's fucking chaos in there. And if you have more than 5 or 6, you should be doing teamwork shit anyhow.
FIE
So you need to go
join.
down and do the teamwork squads and get teamwork play going. And when we do teamwork shit, you guys need to be aware that calm discipline is in effect. It doesn't mean you guys can't hold a little side conversation, but it does mean that no one wants to hear you sing. No one wants to hear you scream fuck really loud because you just got shot. You could say that anyhow. Just don't push your push to talk button. That's fine. But like you do need to be aware that like these people want to talk. So for instance, if we're in there and like all of us are in the channel and we're playing, and me and Atrix are having this conversation on the difference between the chain gun and the MSW, and then Lokio is like, "Hey, I got enemies."
Please
If
stop
he
shooting the
says
Vanguard.
anything, like if he says break or comms or anything like that, me and Atrix are just gonna shut up. We'll just stop talking and listen to what he has to say. If he has something pertinent to the combat right now, we let him talk. Like it's just this is the way we want it to be in the casual like teamwork squad. If you guys are having a conversation that pertains to the game, it might be acceptable in the squad depending on how loud it is and how many people are in it. And then if someone has something to the game they need to say, like, hey guys, I got this coming in or that coming in, you just need to shut up. Like you just need to stop talking. Let them pass the information. Let someone talk back to them if they need to. Let them coordinate. And when they're done and they're doing it, then you can continue your conversation. No one wants you to not have a conversation. You just need to learn when to talk and when to listen and when to let other people talk. Atrix, did you have something?
Nope.
No, and don't say how you died when you die, unless it's actually pertinent to the rest of us.
Yeah,
Like,
like,
oh,
yeah,
I just got shot. Like, I don't need to know that.
Vanguards.
Yeah,
Unless you
I
tell
mean
me
honestly,
where.
there's a lot of
Very
things
joined.
that are gonna annoy people, and it's cool. Like if it's me and Atrix and Slayer and Steezy in a channel or something, and we're playing, and like, oh man, this guy just killed me by throwing a grenade, it bounced off the wall. Whatever, dude. There's only 3 of you, and you guys are probably playing a close-knit game. That kind of talk is okay, man. Like you want to form a little squad and just do like some silly shit before you all go to bed or whatever. That's fine. But if you're in a squad and there's more than like 6 or 7 people, that kind of shit needs to stop because with 12 people, man, like people are dying every 2 seconds. That means people are just gonna be telling stories, and we don't need to hear it. Especially when
Also-
like some people are quiet and they want to talk, and like they won't cut you off. Like I'll cut you off. I'm that kind of person. Sorry,
Yeah,
Atrix, go ahead.
yeah. I'd like to add, if people are bullshitting and you've got something important to say, by all means, say
Gizmo
break
traffic.
comms and interrupt them.
Yeah, break is the way to do it. If you say break, that means shut up. If someone says break and you're talking and you're holding a conversation, like I said, you should stop talking. Just go ahead and stop talking and let them say what they want to do. We're not trying to be like dicks or anything and not let you guys have your fun, but you really need to understand that communication is the key. And if we can't pass comms for like the 4 seconds it takes for you to shut up, and then someone dies in that 4 seconds, it's your fault, man. You know, like you're defeating teamwork by running your mouth. And I'm not saying anyone here does it a lot. Everyone does talk. I talk a lot. I mean, you guys just sat here and listened to me talk for like an hour or some shit. You know I talk a lot, but still, you need to be aware that like people need to have open comms. Yeah, I don't really know if I keep that horse anymore. It's pretty well ingrained. But for as far as for squad organization, like Super Thrive was saying, if you guys get on and there's a lot of people in the casual gameplay, because maybe a few people on in the daytime, and then as more people get on, they always jump into the same channel. Be aware, man. When it gets kind of full, be like, hey, you guys want to get this organized? You want to do an armor squad or an air squad or an infantry squad or something? And then move it down to the channels and work as a team. You guys don't have to run it all, and you don't have to keep doing it forever. You guys can run a serious squad for an hour or two, and then, you know, break it up, go back to the casual squad while you guys are going AFK and doing random stuff. And then when people come and people are swinging in and out, you guys can form these squads on the go, man. No one's going to be here all day playing except for, like, maybe tacos, but other than that, you know, form it up, go, play with it, and then move on, you know?
Everybody's got their masks.
But yeah, anyone can do those channels. Just pop in and say, hey, is anyone interested? Hop on down and we'll form a squad.
Yeah, I need better about that. It's good to know that casual Like, I just thought casual meant, it's not super serious. Like today we had two full squads of in casual.
Yeah, we don't need that, dude. We don't need, honestly, we don't need more than like 14 people on a channel. If there's 14 people on a channel, I would say it needs to get away. I could see like a squad fills up and then you only have 2 for the next squad, go ahead and leave them in there for a minute. But like once you get to 14 or 15, it gets unreasonable and you need to just break it up.
So, what's going on here?
It just finished up armor training and we're just kind of talking.
Shooting the shit.
Q&A.
Does anyone have any questions about anything related to the outfit? The training is over. If anyone was just hanging around from the training, actually, you know what? Hold on a second. Fuck.
Ow.
Was Crappy Taco not go?
Oh, that's Mr. Toaster.
Oh, sorry, I'd have killed Taco. I wouldn't have.
Atrix.
Yeah, if you
Swiss
kill Taco,
Taco
you're out of
training
any
dummy.
dummy.
Hey, you guys, no one leave channel for a second, please.
Move to zip joined.
Hey, man, how am I going to keep track of who's here and who's not? I wasn't keeping track, man, for the fucking roster.
I live stream the whole thing, so you can
okay,
jump
cool.
around and see in the recording.
But I know there was people that weren't in the squad. Should I not give them credit for attending?
I've seen people here in Mosquitoes. I have about 8 people watching the video. I've got, people are paying attention. I don't know.
Got a situation in the gate.
What's up?
Gizmo's part of the Edge Gamers group with Stormy, and
Yeah.
evidently they wanted to drop by this evening or something.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, let me go grab him. I told them that if they stop by, that I'd talk to him. So I'm gonna pull him up here. Atrix, you got the names and everything, so we'll be good on that, right?
Yeah, I got the stream. It's going to be on there. I'm actually going to stop the stream now since we're doing officer stuff. But
okay, cool. If you can.
Thanks everyone for watching.
Link the stream to me a little bit later. I'm gonna go
we'll see
pull
you
this
tomorrow.
guy. Can you disperse them and tell them that we're all done and they could go about their business so they don't.